What's up, YouTube? Wes Spencer here. We're going to cover today some of the updates on the new release of the FEG ecosystem and the roadmap. I'm pretty excited about this. FEG has gone through more tumultuous challenges than any other crypto I can think of that's out there, at least the ones that I follow. This video is not sponsored by FEG. I'm receiving no funds from them. It's been a project that I've been following for quite some time. You guys know that. I've been covering this on the channel quite some time, and I love what they're doing. I love the mission, and I love the community behind it. So I figured, hey, with the new update and the new roadmap, it's probably good that I jump into this and show the channel what's going on. There's some mega big things happening, and there's some changes behind the scenes that I'm seeing that I want to call out. So you don't want to miss this. Some really big things coming right up. All right, friends, Wes Spencer here, back with you again. I am so excited to jump into the FEG ecosystem. I know they've needed some time after the big hack that happened. And let me show this to you if you're not aware of this. Right here is, if you just search FEG token hacked, at least Google, from my perspective with my algorithm, pops me up first. It probably may for you as well. So check into that. If you haven't seen that, I covered all of the basis on what happened with the FEG hack. And I'm going to cover more about DeFi hacks towards the end of this video. It's huge for the industry, and we've got to tackle the challenges behind that, so you don't want to miss that. We're going to jump into that at the very end of the article. But one thing you can do for me before we jump too far in, would you hit like and subscribe? It really goes a super long way for this channel. I'd love for you to do it. I'm getting so eerily close to 100K. I can sniff the creator award. I just need you to do your part. Would you hit like and subscribe? Thank you guys so very much. Okay, so let's take a look at what's been happening behind the scenes. We know the hack happened. We know that a ton of the funds got locked up and became inaccessible in the smart deployer. And a lot of that's pretty technical stuff. So let's just kind of suffice it to say there, at least with this. When I talked to the FEG team, they were working night and day to go through recovery. And it looked like it wasn't going to be possible. And so they approached, I think, phase 2 or option 2, plan B, which was, hey, why don't we just revamp the entire project? Now, this has happened with a lot of projects. Many of you follow other crypto projects that have gone through significant hacks, and sometimes it's easier just to restart. And you learn some lessons from the early days of what you did when you think, you know, we're going to do this different, and this different. Sometimes those are cleansing moments for crypto projects. And I think for the FEG ecosystem, that's really what's happened here. They've had the chance to go back and reassess a whole mountain of things. And we're going to talk about that. The good thing is the approach for all of this, and I'll show it to you, no one's getting left behind. But you do need to be up to date, because if you get stale on what's happening in FEG, you might miss some of the important windows that are happening. So I think the best place for us to start is just a recap on what is going on post-hack. So here is the new FEG website, same as before, FEG token. But do you notice at the very top, you see the logo? It's literally just FEG. The gorilla is gone. They've been very clear, and I'll jump into this later in the video. They're no longer calling themselves Feed Every Gorilla. The gorilla itself is gone. Now, we don't know exactly what they're going to become from the marketing angle. They're actually letting people like you and me have a say in it, and more to be determined. So we'll talk about why I think they're doing that in a little bit, but just a couple other things I wanted to show. There's brand new stuff on the site, building the true DeFi. You can buy it currently right now. Of course, that's going to be upgraded or changed to, I guess the best thing for me to call it is FEG version 2 later on. It's a tiny, tiny market cap. It used to be way bigger. 18 million is what it currently is sitting at. You guys know I sort of talk about asset classes and market caps of cryptos. Anything under 100 million is very volatile, very risky, has a lot of room to grow. That, you know, roughly 100 million into a billion market cap is the next segment up, where it's kind of a growing contender. And then you have the 1 billion and up market cap, larger cryptos. And of course, you have like the top 15, top 20 cryptos as well, or even bigger than that, into the tens, if not hundreds of billions. So this is a tiny market crypto. What's interesting is they have a lot of different holders. They're showing here on the very far right of the website. You can't really see it on my screen because it's cutting off, but it says 900,000 holders. And sometimes it's hard to authenticate exactly how many holders there are, but I think that's interesting. If we look at the tokenomics here, we're trading at a very small number, a whole bunch of zeros I'm not even going to try to read. And FEG has been that way since the beginning because they minted, I think it was like 50 quadrillion. So they're one of those tokens that it came out. I call them burn tokens a lot because the goal for a lot of these burn tokens is create lots and lots and lots of them, let them burn over time, and then deflationary concepts come in and all of a sudden the value grows. But that's all contingent on a lot of use, a lot of trading, and all that kind of stuff. And so if we take a look at the past year of what's happened with FEG, it's had its heydays where it's really grown, but this is back when the market was going gangbusters. You guys remember this. We're seeing Bitcoin itself at like the 70,000 and just rising, rising, rising. We've seen the entire market fall apart. So if you kind of look at this market, the price history of FEG token, and you sort of overlay this on top of all the other cryptos, not really all that different in terms of its rise and then its fall down, right? So it definitely hurt from the hack, no doubt about that. Let's be clear. But also it majorly just the market itself really fell apart. So, we know that there's room for all cryptos to grow. But what I want to do is I want to jump back into the actual FEG roadmap because there's some really important things that are here. And I'm not going to dive into every tiny little piece, but I want to cover the major issues. So the way you get to that is literally just right here. Click on our new roadmap is here. And then this brings you into their docs page. And you've probably looked at documents before like this. If you want to step back to the very beginning, just click on introduction up here and it'll kind of remind you of everything that FEG is about. Notice they still have the gorilla logo. Eventually that will go on some of these residual pages, I'm sure. But it kind of walks you through what it's all about. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip by intro, skip by how to buy, and go right into the roadmap. So here's the roadmap itself, and I'm going to zoom in so we can kind of see it a little bit better. Well, actually, I'm trying to see this where my image is not in the way. Here we go. Okay, I guess we're just going to leave it this way. All right. So some things here. Quarter three. Let's talk about some of the major things happening in quarter three. So they talked about the name and logo proposal. You saw just FEG. And one of the things I think they've recognized when it comes to the name and the logo itself is this right here is we want to kind of grow up as a crypto, right? We want to kind of become something that is has some, how do I say it? Just is more grown up. We don't want to sit at the kids' table anymore. We want to kind of have some more legitimacy. And again, that makes sense. There's a lot of people that love the meme qualities of a lot of cryptos, right? Win Moon, Win Lambo, all the Doge everythings that are out there. I get it, but I personally support FEG kind of putting on some big boy pants here and trying to grow up a little bit. So we'll see what the name and logo comes out like. I've personally not seen any. I know that they're working on them. They have some options and names they've selected from because we all know if it's just a pure open vote, we know what's going to happen. It'll be renamed to like Feggy McFegface or something like that. So they've got some hard names they're going to pick out and we're going to pick from there as the community. So I like that. I think that's smart. We also know they're working towards, let me go back to this so you can see. We're also working on, here we go, redeeming staking rewards. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, kind of how all that's going to work. They're working on completing the new token contract and getting it audited. That's massive. That's colossal. That's huge for a whole bunch of reasons. One is, in my opinion, you got one last shot at this. I think most cryptos, you have to understand, we're still in the Wild West. Smart contracts are still very new. Many platforms are fly by night, and there's not very much like true auditing that's going on with cryptos. And you see, and I've even covered this. I've got an old YouTube video where I talk about token audits. And one of the big takeaways I had in the video was like, just because you have an audit that comes back and you've got like the white paper from it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's free of bugs, free of vulnerabilities. And so you can't, I guess I say all of that to say this, you can't possibly put enough time and enough resources into the auditing, because if there's a flaw and bad guys find it, you're going to have a bad day. That's what happened to FEG, and that's happened to so many other crypto projects as well. If you don't believe me, take a look at this right here. This comes from my friends at Chainalysis. I've been following Chainalysis since my early days in crypto, way back in like 2013 and 14. When they first came out, they were one of the first like cyber, tracking groups and analytics groups for blockchain. And one of the things they talk about here, I'm going to scroll way down. They're showing the short of the article is a lot of the crime is going down right now, which I think is a great thing. But scams are up is the number no, actually scams are down. Sorry. But there's one other thing I wanted to jump into if I can find it. Here we go. This right here. So cumulative monthly cryptocurrency stolen in hacks, one of the outliers, even though like all these other cybercrime statistics are going down, which is really good. The one thing that skyrocketed is the hacks. stolen funds from hacks, and it's all specifically from DeFi. I'll put a link to this article if you want to go read it. I highly encourage you to. So they talk about all of the money that's been stolen. Literally billions of dollars have been stolen, and there was a skyrocket. This dark blue is 2021, 2022 is orange. Notice that it's starting to taper off a little bit, and we're coming close into July of this kind of becoming equal. But notice the first half of the year where it was way higher this year in terms of hacks. Now, will this orange kind of, now that it's kind of calmed down, will it blow up again? Who's to say? We'll have to find out in the future. But we know that that's been pretty significant. And there's been a whole bunch of hacks that have happened. I've covered a bunch of them. I've covered, if you go back through my my YouTube videos, I'm a cybersecurity guy. So I have a lot of interest in diving into DeFi hacks. Axie Infinity was one of the big major ones that happened. It was hundreds of millions of dollars. I think the biggest DeFi hack of all was Axie, if I remember right. So there's a bunch of these that have been happening. And I say that to say, I applaud the FEG team for really spending a lot of time in DeFi security. I know it's expensive. I know it's time consuming, but making sure that your contract is clean, or as clean as you can just possibly go, is critical in all of this. By the way, one quick shout out. No one's paying me to say this. Check out Halborn. A good friend of mine, John Hammond, he's a YouTube star that's 10 times bigger than I am, turned me on to Halborn. John is a friend of mine. We know each other from our cybersecurity sides of the house, and he showed me Halborn. He's like, Wes, you got to check them out. They're very, very cool. And so here is Halborn. I'd love for the FEG team to select them. Obviously, I have no say in who they pick, but these guys really are awesome. I've talked to them. They're legit. They know their stuff more than anybody. So I'd love to see them pick Halborn. But whoever they pick, hopefully it is going to be a qualified firm, and they're going to do a thorough review of the contract. Okay, so now I've talked about the audit and how important that is. We're going to have to spend some time on that. It's going to be expensive for the FEG team, but it's worth its weight in gold. Then we're going to see some other things. We're going to see an update of the FEG track release itself. And if you want to see some of that, down here is the FEG Minute from the FEG team. I love their videos, by the way. They are awesome. Go watch this video. He actually shows some examples and screenshots of it. Really excited about where that's going. And then Q4, we're going to have some big releases. And this is where I wanted to spend the rest of my time kind of talking about the rest of the FEG roadmap. And I'll give you my opinions on it, my opinions on FEG towards the end, right? So Q4, so there's some audits of the FTW. Now, the FTW, you may wonder, what does that stand for, right? If you scroll down here, they talk about this. FTW is from the wallet. And one of the things that the FEG team is really concerned with, and I think rightly spending some time thinking about, is, hey, our smart deployer contract stuff got hacked. We lost access to it. Why are we even in the middle of all these transactions? Why don't we just make it why don't we go back to the roots of crypto from the very beginning? And why don't we let our users make trades from themselves to somebody else? I mean, that was Satoshi's vision from the very beginning. And the reason we have exchanges is because it's difficult to find buyers and sellers, and we want an intermediary for trust. And so as the crypto tech is building, it makes sense that happens. But now we're in an era and an age where, couldn't we just bypass the middleman for a lot of transactions? Even the DeFi exchanges like Uniswap and PancakeSwap and Osmosis and all of these, couldn't we just bypass them in theory? I mean, there's risks to direct trading, but the idea that they have here is, if we can get a clean and clear contract that allows for this, that's definitely as safe as possible, we can just eliminate ourselves on the FEG side from holding crypto, from being like the intermediary exchange. And so I think that's smart. I think that makes a lot of sense. Of course, again, the contract itself needs to be laser sharp and good. I mean, it has got to be. So that's kind of what they're talking about here with auditing of the FTW. And once the from the wallet audited stuff is done in Q4, then you're going to see the beginning of next year is their target for allowing that release with Avalanche, Phantom, Polygon. I'd love to see them implement some others. FEG team, if you're watching this, take a look at Cosmos. Look at what the Cosmos ecosystem is doing. It's so open. I think it belongs there. And so I'd love to see a lot of that happen, but this cross-platform, cross-crypto accessibility with FEG, I think, is really exciting. They talk about the audit of their aggregator as well. If you want to know what the aggregator is, I think that, yeah, here it is. The aggregator is mentioned kind of here. So this gives you the ability of when you're buying or selling, it's going to go check across multiple different exchanges and I guess buyers and sellers and help you find the best price, which I think is great. So I think that's what that's all about. So we're going to make sure that that's clean and clear. Release the FTW launch platform. platform, take a look. Okay, now the new token migration. That's the big thing I want to talk about next that I think we've really got to dive into. And so that's Q4, the end of the year, is when we're going to see the migration. Now, why are we seeing a migration? Remember, what happened with FEG is a ton, especially the ROX token, all the SD stuff got locked up and no one has access to it anymore from the hack. And so now that those funds are gone and they're really pretty much not recoverable, I guess your only option is to start over. And remember what I said at the very beginning? Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's a cleansing moment. So let's talk about some of those updates. And I want to share this. The way you get to this is we go back to the roadmap and click on FEG Update right here. They've got a bunch of questions. I don't have time to go through every single one, but there's a lot of information inside of here. What's the future of it? So they're talking about this. The future is bright. It's going to have a new contract that's combining a hybrid token of FEG and ROX together, which I think is smart. One of my critiques I had with the ROX token is I never fully understood like its use cases. It was always really complex. And I hate to say it, but I'm not the smartest crypto guy that's out there. But if I don't understand it, it's going to be hard for a lot of others, right? So I think it's smart to kind of bring all of this together. They're talking about new life into the project with new tokenomics, marketing funds, which is good for sure, right? So they can get their name out there. New mechanics, asset backing, smart lending. I've covered bits of that in my FEG videos before. I'm not going to talk about it today, but I can certainly jump into asset backing and smart lending in a future video. You guys just let me know if you want me to. Happy to do that. So let's see. So I'm going to skip by all of this. Okay, here we go. So should I sell my FEG token prior to the migration? They're like, look, we're not giving you financial advice. Neither is Wes. No one's giving you financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor, but you could buy and sell if you wanted to right now, but it's all going to have a migration. So personally, what I'm doing, and I'm not telling you to do this, what I'm doing is I'm just holding and waiting till the migration date. And when the migration date happens, I'm going to move everything over. So should everyone else. That's what I'm doing. But you could buy right now. Like a lot of you might just say like, hey, look, I love the price right now. I think if you happen to believe this is a good time to buy, then you might consider buying now before the update happens. So that's your prerogative. I'm not telling you what to do. Go do what's best for you. So here is, I clicked on, let me go back because I did this too fast. Let me go back to FEG Update. Here we go. And right here, where is it? FEG. Okay. So here's the migration information right here. FEG migration to smart DeFi token. There's a lot of things that's built into this that you want to see, right? The why they're doing this. They don't really mention the hack on here, and I guess I understand why. It might scare new people away, but it's a history and it's one that you embrace, and it happens to everybody. As a cybersecurity guy, it's helped many companies go through breaches. It happens to everybody, right? Breaches are like belly buttons. We've all got them. That's the truth. Okay, so let me scroll down past all this. Should I unstake? I don't care too much about all that. You can read up on your own. So when is this? It's not, we don't know yet, right? But I just showed you on the roadmap, I think the target is Q4 of this year is the target. So we just have to be patient, right? The automation or the migration. So for FEG holders, migration will be manual. In other words, and that makes sense, right? Because you're holding your own FEG. They can't do it for you if they don't have access to your wallet. So what'll happen here is if you're a FEG holder, there's going to be some kind of platform. You send your tokens in, it probably burns them and issues back to you. FEG 2.0 is the best way for me to say it. So be patient on that. I promise you, I will have a video that will come out when the migration tool is built. What do I need to do to migrate? Swap your FEG tokens for the new hybrid token when everything goes live. There's no link for it yet because it's not there. And let me say this, hear me. Are you listening? Hear me. Don't fall for someone saying the new migration token's here, send your FEG in, because I promise you there's gonna be scams that will come out around this. And here's what they're gonna say. Send it in now and you get a bonus, or this is whatever. You'll see fake tweets. Wait till you see the actual migration tool from FEG, from their official channels, their Twitter, or definitely the website. I'm telling you, there's so many Telegram scams. You just got to be so careful about this. So hear me now and be ready. Few months, yep, you're just gonna have to wait. What happens if you miss it? You'll be able to migrate anytime. So it's not like some specific window. If you miss it, it's gone, right? Will I lose anything because of the migration? Here we go. It took me a minute to find it. We will reduce the total amount of tokens to make FEG more attractive for investors in central exchanges. So that was a problem that a lot of the exchanges had, is like, look, there's so many of these and the price is so low. It's just tough for us to understand and for our investors to want to understand. We want to see less of it, especially because people want to see something that's not 10 zeros and then 1. They want to see some number that means something. Even if it's a penny, it's better than some fraction of a penny, right? So the new supply number hasn't been decided on yet, but we are down to 3 options: 1 billion, 10 billion, 100 billion. Those are the 3 options. So what should that number be? Well, I'm curious to know what you guys think. I think 1 billion, no doubt, too small. You just need more. I think 10 billion, 100 billion both make some amount of sense. If you go to 100 billion, I mean, think about Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin's only have 21 million fully diluted once everything's out there. We're not there yet with Bitcoin. That's not that many. So there needs to be definitely many in the billions, I think. But who's to say? One of the things you could do is you could go over to, if you just want to play and explore, you could go over to CoinMarketCap itself, and then you can go and you can actually do this. A lot of people don't know this. You can bring up filters, and then you can bring up like max supply, and you could start filtering for certain supplies of tokens. And then you can begin to look and say, I just want to spot check. Just because one token has the same number of roughly like 50 billion doesn't mean that it's going to be worth the same amount, right? Supply and demand determines value for sure. But you can go and play with some of these and just look for other cryptos in that same rough number. And then you can kind of come back with your own opinion. I haven't made my opinion yet. I'm somewhere in the 50. I don't think for me 1 billion is enough. So I think 50 or 100 makes more sense. If I had to choose right now, I'd say 50 billion. 100 billion is just a lot, guys. But we'll see. If there's no burn mechanism, then I think 50 billion certainly is a good number to hit. A lot of other crypto projects are somewhere in that neighborhood. And so I'm a fan of that. So that's my thoughts on it. So there you have it. That's pretty much all of the updates I wanted to share. A lot of it's coming Q3 and Q4. You're going to have to be patient. They got to get through the token audits. But I think this is good for the future of FEG. I'm excited about it. If it's for you and you like where it's going, if you bought and you've been holding and you're waiting to see, there's your update. If you're curious about FEG and you've heard other people talking about it, there you have it. It's one of those really interesting cryptos with a huge number of users, but a really low market cap. Again, the market has been really terrible for everybody for the entire crypto space, but they went through a hack that hurt as well. So, is now a good time to buy? I can't tell you that. You're going to have to make your own decisions. I'm not your financial advisor. You listen to YouTubers, you're going to go broke. I mean, look how many of them steered everybody wrong. I can give you tweet after tweet. I can give you YouTube after YouTube. People saying, Bitcoin will never go below 47,000 ever again. And now it's at 20, right? So this happens. So don't listen, make your own decisions. But this is the facts of the roadmap. I personally love the roadmap. I like where it's going. I like that they're growing up. I like the tokenomics changes. And I think there's some really cool things around the smart deployer and a bunch of other tech that's coming into the FEG ecosystem. So there you have it. I'd love to know what you think about it. Leave me some comments down below. And hey, you made it this far. Thank you. Would you hit like? Would you hit subscribe? It really does go a long way. I asked you earlier, and I'd love for you to do it now if you've spent this much time. All right, my friends, until next time, I will see you later.